Hi everyone, it's me, mdlove. So I'm recording this after trying to go live, and like I said in my post, I waited for you guys for about half an hour, but no one showed up, even though I gave you like at least 11 hours heads up. Okay, so it's okay. I understand people have their own lives, and you know what? Maybe YouTube doesn't really alerts you. I don't know exactly what's going on, but anyway, I waited. It was a fail. Okay, it's okay. Um so I was thinking, since you're not there anyway, I might as well record, and I'm just gonna talk to you, and you guys will hear it whenever you guys can, and hopefully you will use the comment section to communicate. Okay, so basically I was gonna go live to celebrate 7 years of being a moonwalker and an active fan. And I basically just found out yesterday that it's been 7 years, because you know how Facebook share memories. So basically it shared a memory yesterday, and apparently I posted 7 years ago in 2019, March 23rd, 2019, a video of this guy who is explaining why Michael is innocent, after the mockumentary came out. And I told you several times that my journey started after that mockumentary came out. That's when I started getting really interested in MJ. I started really researching about him and about the allegations, and I learned about him. And of course, like all of us, I fell in love with him. And you know, after you fall for Michael, you feel so angry for what happened to him, and you feel like you need to defend him, or you want to defend him. So that's what happened to me. I'm guessing that's what happens to most of us, right? So anyway, so March 2019 was the beginning. And I gotta tell you, it's very surprising to me that an interest of mine lasted 7 years, or lasting 7 years. I have never in my life was interested in anything, and it lasted years. A few weeks maybe, but years, never. I mean, that just shows how much I care about him and this subject, and it's amazing to me. 7 years. It's like it's forever, really, it's forever. And I've been through a lot in those 7 years, both in my personal life and in my social media life. Yes, I basically wanted to share with you the journey, the ups and downs of what happened. But maybe first I should talk to you about my current situation. As some of you know, I live in Israel, and if you're watching the news, you guys know that we are at war. Shocking, right? We've basically been at war for like 2.5 years. But right now we are in a war with Iran and also Lebanon. So basically, I just wanted to share what's it like living in a war zone. What exactly is going on? What am I experiencing? And of course, my personal experience is everyone's experience right now in this country, but I can only share what's going on with me specifically. So basically, we sometimes, or most of the times, we have sirens in the middle of the night. Sometimes it's midnight, sometimes it's 2 a.m., 4 a.m., sometimes it's in the middle of the day. But basically what's happening is, and we are very lucky to have that, first we get a text message with an alert, like a siren, that tells us that in a few minutes there's going to be a siren and get ready to go down the shelter. Okay, so we get that. That wakes us up in the middle of the night. Okay, and then a few minutes later, there's a siren outside. So I live in a building with 6 apartments and 6 families. So we all share this one shelter. We all go downstairs and we are all going inside the shelter. We're closing the door. And if it's in the middle of the night, then everyone is basically like half asleep or sleeping. They just got out of bed. So no one is talking. It's quiet. We're all sitting basically like kind of like in a circle or something, I guess we can say. No one is talking because we're tired. And also, there are 2 kids in our building, 2 boys. They're about 5 and 6. So, the parents are carrying them a few floors down. There's no elevator in this building, so they have to carry them down the stairs while everyone is rushing down. So, of course, you gotta be careful not to fall. So we stay there for, I don't know, sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes 20, it depends. And then after we get an alert, we get actually a text message to our phones saying, okay, it's over, you can go back to your homes. So that's what happened. We go back. But sometimes what happens midday, and this I really wanted to share with you, like the difficulties of it. I mean, of course, one of the biggest difficulty of it all is that the fact that after they wake us up, let's say at 2 a.m., it's very hard to go back to sleep after that. So sometimes, just me personally, I'm sure it happens to a lot of people too, but just me personally, I cannot go back to sleep, and then I just stay awake until morning. And then maybe around 6 or 7 a.m. I fall asleep again for like 2 hours maybe. So I'm always tired. I'm constantly tired. If you don't sleep well at night, you're tired all day. And it doesn't matter how much you rest and whatever, you're exhausted. But then, sometimes we go midday. And as I told you, there are 2 children in this building, 2 boys. And they're at that age where they are just wild. I don't know if it's because they're boys. I don't know if it's because of the stress of the war. But they are just going wild inside the shelter. And it's not a very big space. And it's very hard. Like, I understand that they're kids and they were born into this unimaginable reality. So they need to release stress. I get that. That's why no one tells them anything. But, it's hard because they scream and, they run inside. And it's very hard. It's very hard to put up with it. But, of course, no one says anything because, they're kids and they need to relieve their stress, right? I guess, yeah, they can be a little bit more considerate. Maybe that's the age to teach them to be more considerate, but then there's the other side of just them being kids and they should not be in shelters, So if they can play and have some fun and laugh, then, let them, So there's that. But then also, even though, thank God, all of us, the neighbors in the building, we all get along. But it doesn't mean that it's fun to spend time with them in the shelter. Like, there's this one neighbor, this woman, she just loves, like, telling these dramatic stories, horror stories. I don't know why, she just loves it. And she's driving us crazy. And no one wants to hear a negative story. She's basically always negative and annoying. And no one wants that, let's say, like at 7 a.m. Like today we had a siren at 7 a.m. Nobody wants that. Like, as soon as you wake up to hear, like, negative stories, But, we're all being polite and we'll listen and whatever. So there's that neighbor, there's the kids, there are other neighbors who are suddenly very loud when they're talking. And as I said, it's not a very big space. So, it's really hard. Just a few nights ago, we had a siren at like 10:30 and I was already asleep. So I was like half asleep when I went down to shelter. And I guess this neighbor hasn't gone to bed yet. So she was full of energy and she was talking really loud and whatever. And it was so hard. And I had such a headache, and it's hard. It's very hard. So that's with the human neighbors. But then there's this cat, this stray cat that walks into the shelter with us. I don't know why. Like, she thinks she's one of us, I guess. And then she tries to climb on people. And she doesn't scratch. She's a very nice cat, but she has this really long nails, and she's climbing on people, and it's just it hurts because her nails are so long. So sometimes we kick her out from the shelter, and we close the door, and then we hear her. She goes, hello, hello. You know how cats can say hello? So she says hello, and she's trying to get our attentions. But of course, we're not bringing her back in because she disturbs people. Not everyone in the building likes cats. There's a teenage girl in the shelter that is, I guess, afraid of her or whatever. So she's got to be out. Now we try to explain to her that this is a shelter for humans, not cats. So that's basically my experience in this war in the last 3 weeks. It just got to a point when it became so difficult that this morning, instead of going down to the shelter when there was a siren, I just decided to stay home and just go inside one of the bedrooms that is just away from everything, and I hope it's a safe space. I know it's not the smartest thing, but sometimes enough is enough. No, it's hard. It's really hard. Anyway, that's the story of the last 3 weeks. Okay, now, as I said, I am celebrating 7 years of me being a moonwalker, and kind of wanted to share with you the ups and downs of my journey, what exactly happened, how I grew, how I became someone with a podcast when I was very insecure. I didn't like my voice on recording. I still don't. I do not like being on camera. I never liked being on camera. I was very uncomfortable on camera. Still not comfortable on camera, but sometimes I do it just to do something that I'm not comfortable with, to get out of my comfort zone. But I don't like it. Okay, I don't like it. I mean, now that I was trying to go live, I wanted to be on camera and I tried, but then I was like, okay, no, I'm not comfortable with that. And I turned off the camera and I waited for you guys. And you know what? Maybe that's why people didn't show up. I don't know. It's just a guess. I don't know. But anyway, from being like super shy, don't like my voice, don't like my face on camera, I still got out of my comfort zone, and I did it, and I'm still doing it because Michael is very, very important to me, and sharing his truth is still, after 7 years, is very important to me. And I kind of want to share with you exactly what happened, hopefully in a chronological way. I mean, I don't remember the exact details. It's been a while, but I hope I'm being as accurate. I'm gonna try and be as accurate as I can, okay? But I probably not going to be, because no, I don't have everything written down. I wish I did. It would be so much easier, but I'm just going to use my memory, which is not the best, I have to admit. But basically what happened is, okay, there was this mockumentary, which I'm still proud to say that I've never watched, except for short clips that people used to, to debunk their stupid lies, okay? Other than that, I never sat down and watched that stupid thing, okay? I never will. Now, after that, I started watching videos of MJ, interviews, and whatever, his home movies and everything. And of course, I absolutely fell in love with him. And then, of course, I learned about the 93 case and the 2005 case, and I learned why he's innocent. So, being totally in love with him and knowing for a fact that he's innocent, I felt like I should do something, that I should use my voice to share his truth. So I started with Twitter, and then this woman that I don't remember her name, and even if I did, I'm not going to say it. But anyway, sometime in this, when I was watching videos and whatever, I found out, I became a believer. I found out that Michael is alive. So I started tweeting about that. And then this woman noticed it, and she asked me, like, are you a believer? Me too. And sometime, we connected, and she shared clues with me and whatever, and she introduced me to, what's her name? Pearl Jr.? Yeah. So she was basically, Pearl was like the first death hoax researcher that I followed, and I learned a lot from her. And I followed her for about a year and a half, something like that. And I learned, the numerology part of MJ, and like his real name, that the death certificate is fake because of the name, and all kinds of stuff. And then later I learned to kind of do my own research. But like through Pearl, I learned what to look for. So that was cool that I got to know who she is. But then, after a while, she kind of made it about herself. And also, I don't know, she was trying to convince people that she's talking to Michael himself. And it was obvious that it wasn't Michael. And I know it just seemed like she was helping this scammer selling stuff in the name of MJ. And then I guess he helped her selling her things, her DVDs and whatever. So, once money got into the mix, I lost interest. But anyway, I'm glad that I have known her, because, I learned things from her. So, everything has a positive, right? You gotta focus on the positive of everything. Anyway, after that, I got to know 2 other people who had a podcast, and we became friends, or at least I was their friend. I don't know. I mean, I felt they were my friends, but I guess, I don't know. I mean, this is just my personal experience. I felt they were my friends because they felt I can do things for them. And once they've learned that I can't do the things they wanted me to do, they stopped being my friends. So I learned about fake people and fake friendships. And that experience was very painful, but I also learned a lot from it. So I'm being a lot more careful when it comes to trusting people, especially people that I've never met in real life. Okay? I'm being very careful about that. You live and you learn, but that experience was a good wake-up call. Not everyone that compliments you and act like you're special and whatever is actually your friends and want the best for you. That's something that I've learned the hard way. Okay. And then there's, of course, the scammers. I knew this woman who was basically a scammer, telling people that, she knows Michael, like today, and she's talking to him on a daily basis. And, back then, I'm talking about 2020 and 2021. I had podcasts with co-hosts, okay, and I had two co-hosts, and I had this one season with this one woman, and then it was over with her, and then I found another one who I enjoyed talking to. We had interesting conversations, but unfortunately she was also a scammer, you know and she made me believe that she is in like a personal relationship with MJ, and she's talking to him every day, and she promised me that Michael watches my podcast and what I do, and he loves everything that I do, and one day he's going to talk to me. And I have to admit, I never fully believed her, but I kept having this hope that, maybe she's telling the truth, and I don't want to miss the chance of maybe talking to Michael and whatever. When you're doing so much for him and you're hoping that he is watching, because it makes sense to me. If he is out there, it makes sense to me that he follows his fans, and he wants to know what we're saying about him, what we're doing for him. So if he did follow me and he wanted to talk to me, then of course, yeah, I was very excited about that. So she kept telling me all kinds of stories, and every time she said, he's gonna call you tomorrow and whatever. And then when he didn't, because she lied, and I would ask her, so what happened? Oh, then she would always have this excuse. Oh no, the people that chased him, they found him, and he had to escape. He had to move out from wherever he's living. Every time she had this stupidest excuse. And again, I never fully believed her, but I wanted to. Does that make sense? So anyway, at some point I woke up from this illusion and I confronted her. And after confronting her for lying to me, I guess she was scared that I'm going to ruin her plans, so she started lying about me. That's what they do, scammers. They cover up lies with more lies. So anyway, that was back then in 2021. So after that happened, and I also lost these two people who I believe were my friends, because again, they thought I can do things for them, and then with time, when they saw that I can't do things for them, because why they thought that I can do things for them? Because one, I talked for a short time with TJ Jackson, and I asked him to wish happy birthday to one of them, and he did, because he's like the sweetest guy ever. So I sent her a video with him wishing her happy birthday. And then around that time, I also interviewed Dieter Weisner, who was MJ's manager and friend. So they were thinking that I have connections with the Jacksons and important people that are close to Michael. So if I have those connections, then, it is worth being in contact with me, right? So with time, when they saw that I cannot help them and those connections, I was just lucky. Both TJ and Mr. Wisner are just nice and good people, and I was lucky. That's it. That's all that happened. I was just lucky. But I guess they thought that I have connections, and somehow with those connections I can help them promote their platform. And again, as I said, with time, when they saw that I can't, because I can't, they decided to leave this friendship. And they did it in the most disgusting way. But that's okay. It was very painful at that time, but I learned about fake friendships, and I'm happy about that lesson. Okay. But because of what happened, and because there was like a big part of everything that I did here on YouTube, they were in almost every video that I did here on YouTube, I decided to just erase each and every video that I've made and actually worked very hard on. And that's it. I decided that's it. I'm not doing this anymore. It's not worth it and whatever. So I took down every video in this channel, and that's it. And that was in December of 2021. And then in March of 2023, I decided to come back. And I brought back the mdlove podcast. And I'm now celebrating 2 years of the renewed mdlove podcast. So basically, March is an important month. I'm celebrating 7 years of being a moonwalker, 2 years of this podcast, and I'm also celebrating 3,000 followers, which is really cool. I there was a time when I was hoping I will get 1,000, but yeah, I'm so happy that this channel is growing and people are very active on this channel. If I'll post something, whether it's a poll or if I'll ask you something, you guys are always responding, and that's really, really cool. So thank you guys for your support and your love and everything. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. So some time ago, I asked you guys to send me questions, and then I will do my best to respond. But then, of course, as I said, there's a war. I don't really sleep, and it's really hard to find time to record an episode. Right now, I am very lucky. It's been quiet all day. Let's hope it's going to stay like that. So that's why I'm able to record this episode. Okay? But you know what? I feel like I've talked a lot right now, and I'm kind of getting tired. So how about the next episode? I will answer all of the questions that you guys have sent me. And we will do that kind of episode, just me answering your questions. Right now, I just wanted to share with you what's going on with the war. I wanted to share with you the journey of the last 7 years. And also thank you guys for always being there. Okay, but you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, there is one question that I wanted to answer because it was a really good one. And I have actually a great tip for you guys. So someone asked, how can we be like active fans or better fans? And basically what I came up with is, when you're arguing with someone, with a hater, don't use emotions when you are confronting them, okay? Because emotions don't care about emotions. They're there just, to hate, okay? What you can do that is actually affecting, what is the word that I'm looking for? What you could do that is important is to use facts and logic, okay? They cannot argue with facts. I mean, they're gonna try because they're stupid, but what you need to do is to use facts, tell them, you gotta watch this video, you gotta read this document, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. Use facts and logic, not emotions, okay? Because those people, they don't argue with you to learn. Most people don't argue to learn. They argue for the fun of it. Some people just enjoy the drama. So don't give them drama, give them facts, okay? Use facts and logic. That's all you gotta do, okay? So the way to become a better fan, how to defend Michael, is by using facts and logic, not emotions. Leave emotions aside. I know it's hard. We are all here because of emotions. We are here because we love Michael. But when you argue with a hater, the best thing to do is to put the emotions aside and use facts. Okay? This is just one of the many great questions you guys have sent me, and I will answer more in the next episode of the mdlove podcast. Which, by the way, I'm just realizing, have you noticed that this is the very first episode of 2026? I haven't had an episode this year yet, except now. So today is what, March 23rd? Yeah, so March 23rd, 2026 is the very first episode of this year. And yeah, really cool. I'm not sure when I'm going to record the next episode, but don't worry, I'm going to let you know. So I guess thank you guys for being here and listening. And if you have questions, comments, whatever, use the comment section, and let's hope that one day when I'm gonna go live, you guys are going to be there and we can have a real live chat. Okay, so thank you guys, this was fun, and I will talk to you soon. Keep love alive, keep winkling, and use facts. Okay, use facts. Well, have a great rest of the week, guys. Stay safe.